Hello and welcome to Lynchburg Live. I'm your host, Linda Smith. Times have changed dramatically for young people growing up in today's society. The Miller Home for Girls in Lynchburg is a long-established facility with many purposes, not the least of which is providing a normal environment for young girls who often fall into the at-risk category. My guest tonight is Stacy Garrett, Executive Director of the Miller Home for Girls, who will be telling us about the facility. Welcome, Stacy. We're so glad to have you here on Lynchburg Live. How long have you been the Executive Director?
It is hard to believe I'm about to say, but 9 years.
Oh my
goodness.
Doesn't
feel like it, but it will be 9 years come this December. It's gone by very fast.
So what's involved in your job?
It's basically a change of hats on a daily basis. I oversee the entire program and work with a very involved board of directors. But I make sure the policies and the programs are done according to what our standards are. Do the fundraising events, do the revenue incomes to help us stay open. But also I'm there every day when the girls come in from school. So that really changes. I try to get as much done before that first bus drops off at 2:55, and then that way our doors open up and we're there to meet with them, have snack with them, talk with them, help with homework. So really it just depends on what's going on in the day, but I like to say the biggest part of my day is administrative, but the best part of my day is when the girls come in the door.
So you multitask?
All the time, yes.
How long has the Miller Home for Girls been in Lynchburg?
It is the oldest residential home in the state of Virginia, if not in the United States, because it's been around since 1875. And it used to sit at Pittman's Plaza, and it was called the Lynchburg Female Orphan Asylum. And it stayed there till about 1975 when the Miller Home opened up on Westerly Drive, still on 5 original acres, but it has been in Lynchburg since 1875, never taken state or federal money, so that's quite the compliment to our community that we've been privately funded by individuals here in town.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now tell me again where it's located. You just said.
It's on Westerly Drive, which is like a block behind EC Glass, directly behind the Oaks. You can see it when you cut through down there. But it originally sat at Pittman Plaza, and so we're still on 5 original acres.
So it started originally as an orphanage?
It did. And then I think, you know, people still think that we have orphans at the Miller Home now, but when Department of Social Services evolved and foster care became a part of our system, you kind of lost the word orphan, and now you have foster care children. And so we do have children that are in the foster care system that can also be placed at Miller Home, but most of our placements are guardian placement. So you kind of lost the tag of orphans, so that's why now we're the Miller Home of Lynchburg for Girls, because our girls come from all different aspects.
So how many, I know just from doing some research that there were a lot more girls originally when it opened than there are now. So how many were there? Do you know?
There used to be probably near 100 when the asylum was opened in the 1800s, and then I think you went to maybe about 50-ish, maybe 60 when it moved over to the Westerly Drive location. However, now that Department of Social Service is our licensing agent, they tell us how many we have to have per adult. So it's very similar on the ratio. Like we have to have 10 girls per 1 adult at all times. So right now we currently keep between 8 to 10 girls and have 1 full-time staff on duty once the office closes, because we're all housed together. If we go above 10, then we have to hire an additional staff because we would go above our ratio.
So you obviously have staff that stays overnight.
They do stay overnight. They do a 4-day on, 4-day off shift. We don't do 8-hour shifts. We do actually 4 24-hour days. They do get a 2-hour break during that time period, and then they're off for 4 days. The good part about that is it allows the girls to attach to an individual, especially if they're coming from maybe broken homes or homes where there's not somebody that they feel like they can relate to. So we like the model that we run, having the staff do a switch off. And then we have part-time that come in to help with breaks, help if a girl is sick, help in the summertime when they're there all the time. So it's quite the adjustment of individuals, but people that are all doing it because of the love of the girls.
Now, how do you handle holidays I mean, did these girls go home?
Some do, but we also have girls that stay at the Miller home. So we try to find a location, a host family, if not their own home for Thanksgiving and Christmas, because we just feel like that's important for them to maybe not be in the building, but be with a family-like environment. So some might go to a Lynchburg family for Thanksgiving Day, or they might be with a host family for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. But most of the girls do get to go visit with their own families if it's allowable for the holiday.
How do families become host families for these girls? I mean, that's something that's very interesting, I think.
Oh, it's great, because what they do is they become certified volunteers, and a certified volunteer comes in and do the background checks, which are required by our licensing again, and then they kind of come in and spend time with the girls, and what you find is that there'll be a girl in the building that person can really relate with, and so then they become a little bit more where they're comfortable around each other, they enjoy talking, have a lot in common, and so then that person might say, can I take this girl to Starbucks for coffee, or can we go get our nails done? And so then they do short day trips, which then would lead to maybe a longer period of time together. Then they'll meet their family if they haven't already, and so then we evolve to where if they do go to that person's home, they all feel comfortable with that. You never want to send anybody into a situation where they're not comfortable with being together.
Because they bonded ahead of time.
It does, yeah, it really does take some bonding.
So what are the ages of the girls who are housed there?
We can do 4 to age 21, which is hard to believe, a wide range of girls. However, most of the girls that we receive at Miller Home or that we do admissions for are middle and high school. That's kind of where a teenage girl starts evolving into a young person. Peer pressure becomes a big issue. You know, they want to be doing things in the community, and so sometimes rules are being broken. Truancy becomes a big issue. So those would be reasons why we sometimes get referrals. We do get some of the elementary age, but it's rare that we have that young. And then to go until the age of 21, what we have at Miller Home that some residentials don't have is the ability for a girl to live with us or live on a college campus, but still use Miller Home as their home base. So they could stay through the age of 21 as long as they're going to school, to college of some sort.
Do any of these girls end up sort of making it their permanent residence and stay there?
They do for a long time. What we're seeing is more and more of that, Linda, is where, you know, in years past, our program is really developed for a full year. But what we're finding out is it's years. We're getting girls that come maybe in middle school and are graduating with us. We have 2 seniors right now. So we have to make them ready for after high school. And so those are some great things that we develop into our program so they can be ready for that. But, you know, very few stay just the required year. It's becoming years, which is good for us because we get to see them make all this progress, and then we get to see them graduate and go to whatever they choose for after high school. But, you know, it is a true blessing that we have residential homes in the state of Virginia. You know, there's others besides Miller Home that give children a safe place and be able to develop the needs in order to return to the community.
And this is considered a group home, I guess.
It is. We're a residential girls' home.
All right. Can you share with us some of the reasons that some of these girls are placed there?
Sure. Yeah, I don't think there is one textbook reason that brings girls to the Miller Home. It's a wide variety. Really, one of the biggest ones is truancy. For whatever reason, when they're at home, they don't want to go to school. That's not an option when you come to Miller Home, and so we really work on getting them back into the school system. Maybe they are being court referred. We're not a detention home, so you really aren't a lockdown, but maybe something has happened that has required a more structured environment, and so Miller Home is definitely a placement for maybe a girl that has slowly kind of broken the law, but not heavy enough to be a detention home placement. Also, divorce sometimes plays a part. A family environment, family situation has changed. Economics plays a big part of that, where lifestyle changes, and so girls kind of use that as advantages sometimes, and so things get out of control, and we just need to bring that back in. Sometimes mental health issues, whether they're slight or whether they're more heavily of a need, where we kind of work with them on finding out what's going on and how we can work with a young person to work through you know, their own internal issues. So it's a wide variety, but you know, we are successful with most. However, there are some that once we start working with them, we realize that preventive care is not what they need. Maybe they need more of a treatment facility, and so we would work with that young person on finding the right place for them to be.
Are the majority of these girls placed there by the courts or through the social services? Or
most are placed by family. I would say most of ours are guardian placement, maybe with an involvement of a Department of Social Services. Mainly they're getting like family services, family help, and so social services has gotten involved. And so maybe to avoid it becoming a court issue, there might be some suggestions of doing a residential home placement, and that kind of allows the family still to remain in the guardianship. We don't remove any guardianship. Families always remain of the guardian, and so that allows us to work on the things with the hopes that they do get to go back home, whether it be for a long weekend, whether it be for holidays, or whether after they do the program of Miller Home they can return back there and become very successful, and whatever was going on has been resolved and it becomes a very functional environment for all parties.
That's great. All right, you mentioned to me girls at risk.
Right.
What does that mean?
Girls at risk mean that they're starting to maybe cross over into maybe sexual exploration, maybe gang-related activities, maybe self-harm, or maybe they're starting to use a substance that could lead to a substance abuse if it's not corrected. Maybe they are sneaking out at night and becoming runaways on a regular basis. Truancy is a big one. If you're not going to school, then you're at risk because you're not getting the education that you need. So it really is someone who is standing on that masking tape line and their toes have crossed over. Not their whole foot, but their toes are going over. And so with some redirection, with some simple structure, hopefully we can reverse that enough to where the toes come back on the right path, the right road, and we can redirect them to where they avoid those peer pressures, those ideas that they need to be involved in those activities.
Do you have situations of abuse?
We do have abuse, yeah.
I mean,
you know, we really do have abuse. And abuse sometimes isn't always physical. It could be, you know, abuse to where food is not provided. It could be where neglect plays a part, where maybe they're being left alone a whole lot and no one is there to care for them. They're also physical abuse. You know, we have that as well. But what to me is remarkable are girls that have been through some true abuse situations can still smile. They still trust individuals. They still want to be a part of the community, and they want to go to school, and there's so many positive things that are inside. They just need that outlet to realize that they can overcome. And these girls overcome sometimes bigger issues than I ever dreamed possible. And that to me is why Miller Home is open and why I give full credit back to the community, because the community has allowed these girls since 1875, and you're talking probably hundreds of young females have overcome whatever it was that's been brought in their home, and they've become young adults or young women that are in our community, and they do become professional, they do become mothers, they do become wives, and they get to grow in ways that the community should be proud of that they've been a part of.
You know, so often you hear of a kid who's gone really bad, ends up in the jail system, and they say, well, this is what you expect. Look at the life this child had at home. But then you see these girls who come to you, and with a little bit of guidance, they turn into productive people and good members of this society. Right.
You know, what amazes me is when we are in the community and you see, you know, different scenarios, whether you're shopping or whether you're at a restaurant or whatever, and, you know, we sometimes wonder, why are we not getting more referrals? You know, we know there are at-risk girls out there, and we know people know who they are. Give us a call.
Right.
You know, we would love to prevent a girl from taking that full step over that mask and tape line. We'd love to be able to, if Miller Home is not a right placement for a young person, then let us help and refer you to other organizations that could. Right, I think as many that we can avoid making those from a small whoopsie to an extreme whoopsie,
Right.
those are tremendous positive things that we're doing in our community. And you know, whether you know of someone that's a homeless child or they're just at risk because you just know there are certain things going on in the home that just aren't right, call us. We'd love to talk to you about it. We'd love to help you. And I think one of the great things about Miller Home is, you know, we ask that families help us if you can, but if you're not able to give us $1, we still want to help. I mean, you know, and that's what is amazing, is that's never been a situation. No girl has ever been turned away because they cannot help financially. And I think any way that we can help, we'd love to have more applications to where we're turning people away.
Great.
And why aren't we? Why aren't we getting those applications? I mean, you know, we like the numbers that we have, but it would be great to be full max capacity where we have staff hired and everywhere possible because it's that high of a demand.
That would be great. Now, you mentioned homeless girls. You do take in homeless children?
We have had homeless children. You know, I think the one thing that's very positive is in Lynchburg, there are a lot of outlets that can help with that.
Right.
And homeless has so many different definitions. But we have been able to help with girls that are maybe in a shelter, that we can provide shelter and a bed and shower and clothing and get them back into school. So we're glad to take those phone calls
Wonderful.
as well. You know, so, and I think that is one, again, you know, just want to stress, Lynchburg has so many great organizations that no one feels like we're in competition with each other. If I have a girl that their family could use Salvation Army or Miriam's House or the Family Services at Presbyterian Home, or maybe there's a boy that needs Patrick Henry Boys Home, you know, we all make those phone calls. And so I think that's one true blessing to our communities. No one feels in competition. If the main goal is to help children that need a safe place to live, and that's the way it should be, regardless if it's at Miller Home or somewhere else. We need to be helping the children that need a safe place to live.
Right. I think that's great that you kind of network with each other. Now, the majority of girls who live there, are they from Virginia or?
Most are from Virginia. You have to do a little bit more paperwork if you bring them from out of state, but the majority of our girls come from surrounding areas, but not just Lynchburg. We have them from all over, from Northern Virginia, from Virginia Beach, from South Side, you know, there are some, you know, in our surrounding communities, but they come from all over, and so it's always nice to hear, how did you find us? And most of the time it's a website search or a Google search or word of mouth, because we've been successful with other children from those areas, that when a girl comes in front of a school study or in front of a judge, they can refer us as well. So, so yeah, they can come from all over, but Virginia is the most.
You brought some pictures.
I did.
Phil, if you'll put the pictures up on the screen, we'll get Stacy to tell us what they are.
Okay. This is always exciting. Phil Vassar, Charlie Daniels came to Lynchburg last spring. Phil Vassar is a great country artist. He comes back to Lynchburg 3 times a year to help raise money for the girls that live there. And you can see they cry, they absolutely adore him. He always brings a country artist with him. This year it was Charlie Daniels.
That's wonderful.
Great fundraiser. He was just here a few weeks ago doing a golf tournament for us at London Downs, and we have been blessed by Phil Vassar and his local family that live right here. What an amazing guy. Buys music. Again, this is his whole entire band, all of our staff outside Phase 2 last year, just having a great time, and the crowd was fabulous. And again, Phil and his band, nor any of his guests, take any money for coming in to do these events for us. So all ticket sales, all donations benefit all those smiling faces right there.
How did he get involved with the Miller home?
He used to sing Christmas carols at the Miller home when he was a young boy with his church. And so he was looking to do a local charity, and his mom and sister came over and spent some time at the Miller home, went to his house for Thanksgiving and said, we've got a match.
Cool.
And so it just has kind of started that way. He has girls. He's the only boy. He has sisters. All his sisters have girls, so it's kind of neat. This is at WLNI. We did a radio visit this summer, and so they're actually in Sandy Connor's office being able to do some 30-second PSAs on themselves, and so needless to say, they're being kind of cool and cheesy right there, but that was a great day by WLNI.
Good experience
yeah,
for them.
Absolutely. Being able just to be on the radio. This is actually a former board member, Mike Moldenhauer. He has this teepee up on the Jackson River, and so we had raft all day, and then we actually went and had dinner there, and actually they are going to spend the night in the teepee sometime this fall, because now he's built a fire pit in it, and so it's huge. That is the actual size on the Jackson River. Fabulous. It's always fun to be with Mike and Teresa. That's Michelle. She's swinging over the Jackson River right outside the teepee. That was after our full day of rafting, to where myself and the staff flipped a canoe, so we were quite comical that day for the girls. They had great stories to tell when we came back. Summertime fun. Shanaya, again, enjoying. This is a swing that swings out over the Jackson. You have to actually get into the river to get into that swing, which makes it real fun to do. Smiling faces. This is at Tiny Town. It's the glow-in-the-dark putt-putt that they did this summer. You can go there, and I think starting at dark, which would have been 9 in the summertime, you can pay and you do a glow-in-the-dark putt-putt. Lots of fun, something different. This is at probably a Hillcats. I'm thinking this is a Hillcats baseball game where fireworks, or maybe it is up on Liberty Mountain for 4th of July fireworks. One of the two. Staff member who looks like a resident, but she's actually a staff member, Brooke. And then this is one of our girls, Justine. Fishing, we like to help out with the ARC, which is with the challenged adults. And so in the summertime, the girls go once a week to help with whatever activity. And one of the activities for the month was fishing. And so they get to help the adults with their fishing, as well as, I guess she got to fish herself, and Nikki was very successful. We like doing community service projects. That is up on the mountain for the 4th of July at Liberty, Thomas Road Baptist Church. Always great times. We try to get the girls in the community as much as we can, but we're also thrilled how many free things there are for them to do, and it keeps them busy on the weekends and on holidays. Walmart, Halloween shopping not so long ago. We do spend a lot of time and money in Walmart, so that is a great place for shopping, and it does meet all of our needs, and they all are in disguise. Again, I think that's probably the 4th of July at Liberty. Lots of fun things and activities. I think it rained, so despite the rain, I think they were able to spend some time up there. Probably at Walmart, I'm assuming that's probably a costume, just trying things on, just having good times together. We like to keep busy. Hillcats, this was probably a skybox where I believe Beeline Towing hosted the girls in the skybox this summer. They were able to have supper, and they just enjoyed the day up there. And the Hillcats are very good. The girls spend a lot of time at the baseball games, and we definitely cheer on our Lynchburg baseball team. Ronnie Roberts is on our advisory board, and Tyler Falwell is a big part of Miller Home too. So we enjoy being a part of the Hillcat season.
And behind us is a watercolor.
It is, of the actual Miller home there. Somebody did that years ago, so glad that we can have that. Thanks for sharing the photos.
You know, what I'm hearing is that not only do you give these girls structure and you give them an opportunity to be in a normal environment, but you give them things to do that keeps them busy, that they're entertained.
Right.
I can understand why they don't want to leave.
Right. You know, the neat thing about it is, you know, I'm a mother. I have a teenage daughter, and I think what is amazing is she's been coming to Miller Home for years, and they'll say, you know, what do you do? What are these rules in your own home? Do you get to do this and this? And what I am amazed is how my daughter, you know, tells them these are the same things that happen at my house. These are some of the same things that we do, and so what we really try to do is structure Miller Home as a home, not as a house. And I think when you change the word from a house to a home, it's a big difference. And having a home environment where they feel like they are a part of a family, whether it's bloodline or not, that's a true credit to them making these positive changes, and that's what we like.
Do you all work with the families as well as...
Well, we don't do as much therapy with the family, but we like for the families to go to counseling appointments if that's necessary. We do outside counseling with local therapists and psychiatrists, so we do like families to be involved that way. We do a lot of phone calls, conference calls with them, and then we always touch base with them, especially if there's been a home visit, just to see how that goes. And hopefully home visits can increase over time, and we will eventually be able to return that girl back home. That is the ultimate goal of Miller Home.
That's what that was going to be.
You back home.
My next question is...
And if you cannot, then there is not an exit date. We like for you to stay as long as you need to. And again, we just like working with families and providing a safe place for young girls.
Do you have a website or a Facebook page?
We do. We have Facebook page Miller Home of Lynchburg. Our website is millerhomeoflynchburg.org, and we also have a Twitter, Miller Home. So Facebook, we try to put up recent photos as they come in. I think golf photos have probably been added from the Phil Vassar. And then as girls do activities, we try to put them up there as well. So thank you for asking. We like to share through media. That's right, social media.
You know, we only have about 2 minutes, but can you tell me how this working in this environment with these girls, how it affects you personally?
A blessing. You know, to see these girls go from the moment they walk in into productive young women that return back into the community with positive changes, may find Christ for the first time, make honor roll for the first time. We get to see them have a first boyfriend or a first job or realize they are worth more than anyone has ever told them to be.
That's wonderful.
Is truly a blessing, and I just give it up.
That's wonderful. And you sound so perfect for this
job.
I love it. Stacy, I thank you so much for being my guest and talking about Miller Home, because until I did research for this show, I just thought it was an orphanage for girls.
Love it. Thank you for letting me talk about it, and you know, love sharing the word of what we can do.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show and learning more about the Miller Girls Home, or Miller Home for Girls. My next show will feature fire restoration and fire safety by author Paul K. Whitney. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.